So we are a hardcore technology company. I mean, pretty much everything that we do has some advanced technology aspect to it. So our business model is pretty simple. We are looking to develop AI-based solutions that will have applications in various aspects of the life sciences industry. One is, on the pharmaceutical research side, in terms of drug discovery and development. The second aspect of life sciences is on the clinical diagnostics time, in terms of healthcare diagnostics for humans. And the third one is in pharma manufacturing itself, where certain manufacturing processes and regulatory processes can be improved by using artificial intelligence solutions. So that's our business. And in terms of the model, we provide both products and services. We have a platform-based strategy where we develop products that typically have a wide acceptance. And we've also noticed that in some cases, there is a degree of customization that's required on these products. And so we tend to approach those as custom solutions or custom services delivery. We tend to think of our sort of product and solution development cycle in a few different ways. The first is there is a fair amount of R&D that happens where we collaborate with domain experts. This could be, for example, oncology specialists in terms of some of our cancer diagnostic related products. It could be microbiologists on the pharma side. It could be drug researchers, that kind of thing. And our artificial intelligence team works with that sort of domain experts fairly closely. So in that sense, we have a bunch of AI technologies. This could be PyTorch, it could be Cafe, it could be TensorFlow, those type of things that we use there. And depending on the problem and the requirement, we experiment with a fair number of technologies there. Once we've achieved a certain degree of equivalence or better in terms of what a human is doing in that same sort of task that we could do with AI, we then look to productize that whole thing. And so we have a high performance computing team and a application full stack application development team as well, who then take the sort of R&D output from our artificial intelligence team and use it to productize the technology. So in terms of high performance computing, not only do we look at speeding up the algorithms, but also reducing the compute footprint and even delivering it on as a cloud-based service as well. So in terms of front-end technologies, everything including like Angular and Angular 10, I think is what we use right now. We use obviously a bunch of schedulers like Slurm and Kubernetes. One of the things that we work on is on the digitization of pathology in a broad sense, whether that's pathology applications on the pharmaceutical side or pathology applications on the clinical side of things. So that's where we operate. Now, there has been a fair amount of push and movement underway over the last few years to digitize pathology records. So this could be, most people, when we think of pathology, you think of, a blood sample or a tissue sample put on a glass slide and then somebody looking at it through a microscope to provide some analysis on the biopsy and those kind of things, right? Looking at, high-powered microscopes and that sort of thing. So that has now changed where there's a fair amount of digitization that's happening. And with the digitization then comes companies like us who can then put smarter solutions on top of those digitized data. So that's kind of where we are. Now the challenge, of course, is in the digitization aspect. And that is where, there are varying amounts of penetration, if you will, in terms of the digitization that has happened around the world, depending on the organization and how sophisticated they are. So it's as a general rule, you can say that obviously organizations in the US or Europe are further ahead than equivalent companies or hospitals in India. So that's and the reason for that is we've just started on the digitization efforts here in this country. Part of it is capital investment in digital scanners that scan glass slides and produce images. It's not a insignificant amount in terms of what somebody, some organization has to take up. I mean, even though there's a range of scanners, and you can obviously get cheaper models and the higher throughput, more expensive models. End of the day, that's a capital investment. So that is something that we grapple with in terms of if we have to market our solutions, then the potential client has to have digitization done or underway for them to actually use our solutions and then improve their own work process and gain the benefits of AI solutions. The other thing is AI solutions themselves tend to be fairly compute heavy in terms of what the tech infrastructure required is on the client side. Typically GGPU type installations are required, which are again not cheap. So there again, we've from day one looked into the aspect of delivering our solutions on a cloud-based setup, so that the requirement for capex requirement for GPU type infrastructure is less on the client side, or perhaps even not required at all, depending on the kind of solution. So that's kind of the things that we work with in terms of looking at the challenges in digitization itself, and also in the challenges on the computing side. And those are the things that we try to overcome through our product design. We were quite okay during the first wave, but in the second wave, we've had a fairly high degree of infections happen. But thankfully, only a couple of them happen to be a bit more serious. But even those have turned out to be good outcomes, in the sense nothing serious happened there. So overall, we've been okay from an individual perspective. On the business side of things, COVID has in a way been a sort of catalyst for some of our products as well. The fact that with COVID has come the need for more digital collaboration across every sphere of industry. But digital pathology is no exception in that sense. And we happen to have digital pathology tools that promote collaboration among pathologists and that sort of thing, online collaboration. So these are more custom bespoke type solutions catering to the particular needs of digital pathology. And so we're able to benefit from those kind of things, because there's a lot of interest in those type of solutions for companies, whose own pathology operations might be spread across the globe, or companies need to, a pharmaceutical company needs to coordinate with a CRO operation in terms of their own drug research kind of things, and one is in the US and the other one is in China, that sort of thing. So there's interest in digital collaboration tools that cater to that particular workflow, and we happen to have those kind of solutions. So that's been a huge sort of positive surprise for us, and we benefited from that. The second thing is, from a more secular level, there's renewed interest in obviously getting drugs faster into the marketplace, and so the drug discovery and development timelines, if there's any way companies can reduce that, then that's good for them, especially around lung injury and these kind of things which are related to COVID. So those type of things, again, people are now embracing more of solutions like ours, which help reduce the drug discovery and drug development time, or help them achieve their target deadlines and all with fewer resources, those type of things. And again, we have products in that space, because ultimately when you're providing an AI technology based solution, you're looking at providing some kind of workflow or work process efficiency compared to the current, let's say, manual way of doing things. And that's true of us as of other people who might be providing AI solutions. And so in that sense, we've also benefited from that urgency to reduce drug development times as well in our clientele. We've never shied away from investing in IT, and that happens to be our first priority in terms of the infrastructure spend. So we have continuously bought and invested in the latest kind of computing technologies. So we're doing that again. Right now we're looking at a particular set of GPU servers that are probably one of the leading ones around. So we are looking to buy that this year. We invest in digital scanners, for a company that's not a hospital, not a large pharma company. We already have 2 digital scanners with us, and we're looking to get a third. So these are the kind of things that we firmly believe in terms of technology spend, and so we'll do that. Now, the other thing is, which is a constant for us, is because we deal with a lot of images and fairly heavy images, because we're looking at high resolution kind of things. We have a constant need for storage, and so that is an ever-growing need, and I don't think that'll change anytime soon. So we're looking to obviously bring in the latest in terms of the GPU and compute stack, and we're looking to revamp our storage side of things, as well as on the digital scanner side. So which is a pretty, all put together, is a pretty substantial sum. The first is not really a surprise to anybody. It's the growth of wearables. People have started with the sort of fitness tracking wearables. Whether it's in a watch or it's a standalone device, and those things have grown more and more sophisticated. And importantly, I think they're at the point where they will become much more prevalent. Where they will affordability and those kind of things will increase a lot on that side, and importantly, the feature set will be pretty high. I also think with, especially in the context of the last 1.5 years with respect to COVID, and the reliance on distance technology and the comfort with which people are now doing that, we'll see the rise of digital health assistance that will be coupled with these kind of devices. So you'll have not only your smart fitness tracker kind of thing and health tracker, but it'll also probably start functioning as a first line of consultation. So I can see that happening. I mean, we already see that, especially on the cardiovascular side of things, in terms of EKG kind of things, and interpreting those and those type of things. But you'll see that with other conditions as well, whether it's diabetes or cardio side, or perhaps in terms of epilepsy monitoring and those type of things, where you'll get a lot more smarter devices, not only in terms of what they can measure and monitor, but also the virtual assistants to interpret the signals and provide you with first line diagnosis. So that's one. The second one is, of course, I see the rise of AI and image analysis kind of tools to help reduce healthcare costs. Because one of your first questions was on the cost side of things. So one aspect, okay, there are companies like us trying to provide clever, inexpensive solutions, but from a fundamental perspective, large hospitals can afford equipment that small hospitals cannot. But if you're able to provide some sort of a remote consultation and remote hookup kind of things, then the interaction between the small and large hospitals can happen, which can also benefit patients in rural or non-city type settings as well. So that's the second thing that I see, because that reduces healthcare costs first across that hospital chain, and secondly, obviously for society in general. So that's the second one. And the third one, I think, is in general the comfort with which people have approached things like telehealth consultation and remote consultations and those type of things. So even hospital systems will gear towards that.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.